Green Street Elites, by the fans, for the fans. Welcome. Green Street Elites, by the fans, for the fans. Welcome to Matchday Rewind. Remember to like the stream, subscribe to Green Street Elite, hit the bell icon for future notifications, and share to your social media. Thank you for joining us, and please get involved in the live chat. Good morning to you from Green Street Elites. On my left, I have guests. Where are we? That way. Rob Gates. Rob Gatesy, how are you, sir?
I'm doing all right, mate.
Iron.
All is good.
Good. And below him, we have Duke. Duke, good morning.
Morning.
Also,
hope everyone is well.
Oh, yes, I'm well. Everyone else is well. And below me, which will be rectified momentarily, is our friend Cieran, always the Wizard of Oz. How are you, Cieran?
All right, Budge. How you doing, mate? Morning to you. Right, evening for me, but good morning to you. How are you?
I'm all right, fella. I'm all right. How are you?
Sweet.
Good. Right. I'm hoping that has done the trick. For some reason, my internet seems to have slowed down. There it is. Look. There it is. That's how we have it normally. There we go. Okay, so welcome to week one of Matchday Rewind. Today we're going to be discussing the last game at the Bowling Ground between West Ham and Man United. Have we all had a chance to have a look at it, guys? We all know
I haven't, but I remember it, so don't worry about that.
Understandable, mate. You know, you're a busy man. You run a pub and everything, so understandable. But we're all ready for the game. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to start off with the starting 11, and obviously the man between the sticks, Garen. What the hell am I talking about? Darren Randolph. In front of him there was a back four of Creswell, Bonner, Winston Reid, and Antonio. So that is the back four. And then in front of them, we have Dimitri Payet. Good. And we have Chet Coyote. We have Lord of Lords, King of Kings, Mark Noble, Captain Fantastic, and alongside him, Manuel Lanzini. And then to complement those 9, up front, we have Andy Carroll, and we have Diafra Sacco. Anything you boys want to say? Anything you want to talk about before we carry on with the game? About the lineup? Decent lineup or not?
Yeah, I miss Coyote. I really do. I think he had an infectious, just an attitude around the club. He, the constant smiling. I remember, was it the awards when he came out and they were trying to film and he came out and he was saying, "We've got fire," and he just started laughing to himself. He was such an infectious person, and I miss seeing those behind the scenes videos of him in and around the club. He was, Yeah, he was. Yeah, I'll tell you, I think he's left Palace now, isn't he? Or he's available.
Yeah,
For Palace.
yeah. That's the rumor.
Never go back. But I'd still like to have him around the place. I miss him.
Oh mate, he's great. He's great. I love
And
him.
just when you read out that team, Budgie, it's a bloody
Yeah.
good side, mate.
It's
a good
side.
side.
And to be fair,
it's not that flaky, is it? It's pretty good.
No.
And we got our all-time record Premier League goal scorer at right back.
Yes, indeed we have.
It's so weird, isn't it? Seeing him at right back, it's so weird.
Yeah. And of course, like we had a bench, of course, which will come up on the screen. There we go. And the subs were Spiegel, goalkeeper, Obiang, Enna Valencia, James Tompkins, James Collins, Victor Moses, and Emenike. I can't remember his first name.
Emmanuel
and
Emenike. That's it. Yeah.
He scored his first goal for us in the Blackburn FA Cup game, if I remember rightly.
That's right. He did indeed. And that was the bench. So, things were looking fairly good at the start of proceedings. When that team sheet was released, because I remember it quite well. I was working away at the time, so I was watching it on Sky in the pub down in Devon at the time. And when the team sheet was released and the United team sheet was released, which I don't have with me because I'm not really interested in them, but
I got it if you want it.
Please feel free to read it out, Rob. That'd be cool.
I can share it if you like.
If you want to, mate, that'd be lovely.
Hang on a minute.
That would be lovely.
Hold on, just a ticker.
Can you share stuff like that as a guest?
Yeah.
Wicked.
I'd just like to say quickly,
right?
We have come a long way though.
We have. I mean, I was, as I said, I was quite happy with the team sheet. The only really concern for me at that point was Darren Randolph. If I'm honest, he was the only one that concerned me. He was always a keeper that you were never sure of. Never sure of.
Yeah,
but he's been good for us though in the years, And if he should leave this summer, then good luck to him, and hope he does well. Right, here we go. Right.
If you want to add that, Budge.
Yeah, I'm just about to.
Yeah, so the Man United team was De Gea in goal, Rojo, Smalling, Blind, Schneiderlin, Valencia, Herrera, Mata, Rashford, Martial, and Wayne Rooney. Substitutes that were introduced from the bench in the match were Carrick, Lingard, and Januzaj. All three of those have links to West Ham in one way, shape, or form, don't they?
They do.
Two of them have played for us, and one is rumoured to be on David Moyes' hit list this season.
Well, actually, two of them have played for us, and two of them are supposed to be on his hit list.
Well, yeah.
According to reports. But anyway, we shan't go into that. We discussed that off air, and we'll leave that one off air. So, yeah, that's the United team sheet for the game. Let's remove that. Bring you boys back up screen. There we go. So, let's talk about then the first half of the game. It was getting a little bit tense, and I got to be honest with you. The first thing I did notice was that each and every single member of West Ham team went and greeted all the other members of the team that was starting on the day, and there seemed to be a real togetherness and a real desire for a result in the players before the first whistle had even been blown. It was they were kind of confident, I thought. I really did think they were confident. What about you guys? Did you notice anything about?
Well, don't forget the game kicked off 45 minutes late.
Oh, yeah, good point. I'd forgotten all about that. I had. Yeah, what was the reason for that?
Because their coach got smashed up, didn't it?
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Their coach got smashed up. I was inside the ground. I was in the Bodymore lower with my daughter.
Yeah.
We got and I tell you what, I'm just going to back the truck up a little bit just to sort of paint a picture for maybe people that didn't go there. So I'd gone then, and I had a season ticket, and I had one child ticket at the time, and we got 3 kids, and I took my kids on a rotation basis. Now, on this particular occasion, it was my daughter's turn. My sons had been to the previous 2 last games at home, so it was my daughter's turn. It's just the way it went. So my daughter got home, and I'd said to her, in fact, I think I might have picked her up from school to sort of like make it a bit quicker. And I used to drive to the bowling ground at the time, and we parked up, got there quite early, probably about 4:30, 5 for a game that I think was supposed to be a 7:45 kickoff, if I remember correctly. And as I was walking towards where the statue was, from the opposite side of Green Street, where we parked, I could hear an atmosphere from quite a distance away. It just felt different. It just felt like, oh, this is not your normal home game. This is a little bit different, which obviously it was. But when I got to where the statue was, and like I say, bear in mind, we're talking a good couple of hours before kickoff, I was like, oh my goodness, what is this? It was just masses of people. I'd never seen anything like it before. It was unbelievable. Not at the bowling ground. It was something completely different. So we was like, oh, okay. So anyway, we eventually got into the ground, and obviously we're waiting for the game. And then all of a sudden there was some whispers that started going around about game's been delayed. What? The Man United coach has been attacked. Really? Mate. So, of course, the game got delayed. I think it ended up being an 8:30 kickoff in the end, as opposed to a 7:45 kickoff. So my daughter had a late night that night, and she was a bit bleary-eyed the following morning at school, but it was well worth it in the end.
Well, I can go with the other side of that gate. See, I was actually outside. So there was myself, my brother, my sister-in-law, my mum, and one of the regulars, a West Ham fan from my old pub. And we couldn't get tickets, obviously, but we'd all agreed to go up, and we were going to watch the pub, I think in the Denmark. And we got up there, and we were all milling around, obviously, at the front of the stadium. We couldn't get nowhere near the car parks because of just a throng and just mess of people. We come out of the tube station, and the noise, the roar, the everything, like Rob says, the feeling was completely different from anything I've witnessed at a West Ham game, including obviously, the Frankfurt semi-final, things like that, So, obviously, we're checking the news on our phones, and I'm on Twitter and seeing pictures being taken that I'm now seeing on Twitter and stuff like that, and it was ridiculous. There must have been, including the fans inside the ground, there must have been a couple of 100,000 people, if not more, in the streets surrounding the stadium. You had police thundering up and down Barking Road. There is actually a video somewhere of me, as part of the Sun Dream Team website, this was back then, of me, beer in one hand, phone in the other hand, a bag of beer hanging off my wrist, literally standing probably no more than, I'd say less than half a metre from the horses that were thundering up and down the road, because I'd walked off and wanted to be nosy and see what was going on. Someone from the other side of the road over by the statue had lobbed a couple of bottles in the direction of the police. One coming very close to hitting a female officer. I kind of batted that out the way. It was there was some. To be fair, there were some disgraceful scenes there. Like I say, with people throwing the bottles and trying to kick the police horses as they were running past. And then we saw the coach coming down the road very, very slowly. Smashed. These windows are like triple glazed. You've got the double glazing windows, and then you've got the outer darker windows, the tinted stuff. And you could quite easily see that they'd been smashed, that something had been lobbed at the bus. And then obviously we all saw at a later date the videos from inside the bus, the United players, like the likes of Lingard, who loves a social media platform, they shared those videos from inside the bus, and you saw obviously
That
the
must have
windows being
been
smashed.
pretty worrying for them, mustn't it?
Oh, listen, if I was in their shoes, would have been scared shitless. To be honest with you, I mean, I'm not saying. Listen, I'm not saying the fans as a whole would have done anything if they'd managed to get on the bus. I'm not saying that we would have done that, but from their point of view inside that bus, it must have been awful.
Yeah. Okay, so let's move on, because basically, as I said, Cieran and I weren't even anywhere near that ground on that day, so we've got no kind of experience to call on for that. But we'll move on now then. So the players are all out on the pitch, everybody's ready to go, the crowd are singing, everything. I mean, even the commentator noted that it was rare to see the singing going so far into the start of the game. But the one thing I did notice, and like I said to you, Cieran, the other days, I've watched this video reel 3 or 4 times this week, just so that I know what I'm talking about. And like I noticed that, and it was on the second time of watching it, I noticed that the referee, he paused the start of the game. He delayed blowing the whistle right up to the point where the crowd started singing "Fortune's Always Hiding." And as that was about to be sung, he blew the whistle. The crowd went mental, and it was a really good opener to the game, I felt. And I don't know if it was deliberate on Mike Dean's part. It was Mike Dean, wasn't it? Yeah. I don't know if it was deliberate on his part, but it really sort of kind of looked like it was choreographed. Do you know what I mean? When you look at the video and you see it, he's got his hands out, and then as soon as those words are about to go, he goes like that and sets the game off. So I thought that was quite nice, And also I think he kind of had an idea of just how important that game was, because a lot of the decisions that he gave in the first sort of 20 or 30 minutes, some of them were ridiculous, but he gave them to us, So, I think he was kind of immersed in the occasion as well, I think he realised what he was.
That's the first game I've seen Mike Dean where I didn't object to him. He was pretty flair. He's had some nightmares for us since, but in that game itself, he done a good job.
Yeah.
And the first 20 minutes of that game, I thought we were looking fabulous, absolutely superb. We overrun them in the first 20 minutes.
Yeah, and I think that must have been Slaven Bilic's instructions: get out there and get at them.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Because that was the kind of character he was. Obviously, get out there and get at them. That was the kind of play that he liked to see from his club, from his team. Alan Smith, one of the commentators on that video feed, he said it's normally noisy in here, but nothing like this. And he said that at 35 seconds into the game. Ridiculous statement, but I mean, like you guys said, it was clear there was something very, very different about it, and like the crowd were definitely up for it. So, come on, guys, give me some feedback on the actual game. Once it started, once we kicked off, how did you feel the game went on for the first 35 minutes?
Well, from my perspective, I mean, I agree with what Cieran just said earlier. The first 20 minutes, we were playing some really good stuff. Just to sort of touch on the comment about the atmosphere, I mean, I think everybody in the ground made a point that they were going to sing Bubbles. They were going to sing the players out onto the pitch. I'm forever blowing Bubbles, because this was the last time we were going to be able to do it. And I think everybody just upped their effort, because sometimes I think some people just sort of pay lip service to it. Not everybody bellows it out. Yeah, I think, I mean, the official attendance that night was 34,602. I think I think there was a bit more in that in the stadium than that. At least it seemed that way from where I was sat. But everybody that was in that stadium that was, on the side of the West Ham, I think made a point of upping their effort level for Bubbles, because honestly, when the players came out onto the pitch and Bubbles come up from the crowd, there was an extra 10% minimum of effort level, and you could just feel the atmosphere. And I do think that initial 20-minute period, we scored after 9 minutes with Dia for Sacco. Who was it? It had the ball on the left-hand side. It was Manuel Lanzini, plays it back. And it's the ball's almost behind him, and he sort of he swivels and gets his left foot to it, Sacco, and steers it past De Gea, his bottom right-hand corner to put us 1-0 up after 9-10 minutes. And I mean, like I say, that first 20 minutes, we could have got an extra goal or two, no problem at all. We didn't, and obviously, given how the game latterly panned out, I'm actually quite glad of that fact, because the way it sort of went this way, then went that way, and then went this way again. It was a real contest. I think if we'd have gone 2-0 up, that might have just sort of taken a little bit more of the wind out of Manchester United sails.
And it seemed like that, Gates, here, a bit of a West Ham thing where we didn't take our chances, but we were 1-0 up, or it could have been
us.
more. And you think, God, come on, is it going to be one of them days?
Yeah.
But you're right. We had chances to go 2 or 3 up. And what you said about Lanzini, he got the assist to Sacco.
Yeah.
The through ball from Cresswell, I thought, was absolutely
incredible. Yeah. And that wouldn't have been possible without the control and pass from Coyote. As the ball's half cleared, it dropped down to Coyote, who then controlled the ball and passed it out to Cresswell. So
correct.
That was really, really, that was a lovely bit of football. And I believe even the commentator said, a lovely bit of football from West Ham. I thought Payet in the early part of the game gave Valencia lots of problems. And not Enna Valencia, and Antonio Valencia, West Ham, Man United. I suppose he was the fullback at the time, wasn't he?
I'm just looking at the highlights, chaps. If I just may interject, I'd forgotten about this. We actually did score a second goal, but it was ruled out.
We did.
Ruled out. That's right. Yeah.
Went out of play, didn't it?
It was Antonio got on the end. It was actually on 20 minutes.
Yeah. But also, just before that happened, Andy Carroll broke 3 from a through pass, and he was 1-on-1 with De Gea and couldn't get the ball past him. De Gea got his hand to it, and
it was probably one of them moments, like I think you alluded to a minute ago, Gates. It was Kieran, please don't let it go like this. We have a habit of dominating sections of games and looking, bang on and looking good and strong, and just not being able to put the ball in the back of the net, not being able to finish. I remember the first half thinking to myself, are we going to regret not taking one of those other chances?
Exactly.
Because we have a habit of that as a club. Or sorry, let me rephrase that. We had. It was a difficult half time, I've got to say, because like you say, we dominated. Like you say, the first 20 or so minutes, we looked solid, we looked strong. We could have been in front, like you say, with the ball going out of play and the goal not counting, and you just kind of like, what have we got to do, or is this going to, like I say, is it going to come back and bite us in the arse? But touching on what Gatesy said, you could actually hear. Like I say, I was up at Denmark, and the noise, just around, you could hear the inside of the fans inside the stadium. 3/4 of the way up Barking Road, the noise was phenomenal. I mean, phenomenal. And then you still had the fans trying to squeeze into the pubs. I mean, we were lucky. We managed to get in and watch. The bouncers were actually quite polite. There were bags and bags of cans of alcohol outside the front door of the pub. And they were like, listen,
I
as
think you
long
was
as...
going to say bags of something else there.
And they were literally, they turned around and said, to me and other people that were bringing bags of beer to the pub, as long as for every one you drink out here, as long as you buy one inside, we don't care. That and that's how good they were at the pub. They were understanding what was going on. And if you wanted to go in and watch the game, you had to match what you were drinking outside, inside, which I thought was bang on. Police didn't touch you. They just, obviously, they knew they weren't going to be able to. There was just too many people up there, to enjoy the days. But it was, for me, it was absolutely, just to get up there and be part of it. I didn't get into the stadium, but just to be up there and see that and be part of it, and then be outside, at the end, it was phenomenal. But I mean, did the Sacco goal? Did the Sacco goal take a deflection?
Yeah,
on the
big.
shot? It was a very slight deflection, if I remember.
Yeah, it was.
It was a bit more than slight, Jukey. It came off Dally Blind, didn't it? And it crept into the clean.
Sorry, that was me, chaps.
Budgie.
Oh, yeah.
It did take a
I'm
lump.
here.
It perched itself right in the corner. And without that deflection, I think De Gea saves it.
He saves it, yeah, that was going to be my point. If it doesn't take that deflection, it is saved.
Why is that?
We did get a bit of luck.
You make your own luck in life, gentlemen.
Yeah, if you don't shoot, you don't score, Rob.
Well, that's it. If he doesn't take the shot,
we
he doesn't
deserved
take
that
the
goal.
shot.
And like you said, Jurgen, in that first 20 minutes or so, we could have had 2 or 3. And I thought we'd regret it. I really did. I thought it would bite us in the arse. And actually, it did bite us in the arse because they came back, didn't they, with two goals that were quite soft. And then you think, shit, we've blown it in. But there you go. We did take it to them, though. I'll say that. And I think that the crowd itself got them to that. The crowd lifted that team to take it to Man United.
Right, okay. Hopefully that has done what I wanted it to do.
Yeah, can't do anything else now.
Right, hopefully now I can get to the comments because my laptop seems to be playing up. So let's see quickly who's in the chat. We've got James. Good morning, James. And Gazar.
Yes.
And Peach, of course. Always rely on Peach to be in the house. Mr. Luke Legends in the house. And Darren Higgins. Okay, so who else is there? Anyone else? I'm just going to quickly flick through. No, that's it so far. That's all the people that have commented. Right. So it's 1-0 leading up towards half time. We managed to stay 1-0 until half time, which was a bit of a shock for me because I felt that United started picking their game up a bit. But yeah, we did. We got into half time at 1-0 up. Would you reckon Bilic's attitude was at half time in the changing rooms? What the heck? Where did that come from? Where did that come from? This is stupid, man. I don't know why that's come up because I ain't even touched that. Carry on talking for a minute, lads. There we go.
That's just us four. Pictures of us four, that is.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, so anything else you want to add, lads, towards the first half?
You know what? Like I say, I mentioned it a minute ago. It coming back to bite us in the arse. I was worried. It was a half decent Man United side, certainly a better side than they've got right now. Let's not mess around.
Yeah. Rob, you're on mute.
And me or Rob? All right. No, I just thought that if it comes back and does bite us in the arse, I'll tell you what, I saw that comment, and I'm very concerned that she's not mentioned me. I don't think she loves me anymore. There's no need for it.
She says cramps. Oh yeah.
And me, is it?
No, it's not West.
If you go down a couple more, she does realise I'm here though. The cheeky move.
Look.
Yeah, she had to. She knew she was in trouble otherwise. No, listen. Half time came, and I don't know about you boys. Like I say, I was in a pub outside the ground. You boys were, obviously watching the game where you were. Gatesy, you were inside. It was like a tidal wave of emotion that you're literally looking at 45 minutes. It's all we got left of that stadium, and it was going for me. It was going too quick. That's all I've got. It was that tidal wave of emotion. We've literally, we're 1-0 up. Last ever game at the church. That's the only way I can describe it. And it was just slipping away too quickly for me.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Okay, so obviously moving on to the second half, Man United come out quite sharp. It was obviously quite a worry. It only took up to the 51st minute for Martial to put a downer on the game. So
that was the really good football, and then he kind of swept it in at the back post, didn't he, from inside?
There was some defensive errors. There were some defensive errors. I think that
I've got it on YouTube here. I'm just watching it back.
I think Cresswell.
Not too sure it is on the
ball,
plays in Matter, but he plays a lovely ball in, and it was a simple finish from Martial. The ball from I'm sure it's Matter that played it in, just completely split apart our back line, took the goalkeeper out of the picture, and all Martial had to do was just keep his cool, keep his composure, and just hit the target.
Yeah,
it was just a kick from. I think it's De Gea just hit a long ball though, Robert, and really Cresswell got his head to it, and he jumped under the ball and it went beyond him, and that's when it ended up on that wing, and then Matter got fed in and he crossed the ball. So it was a bit of a mistake, and Antonio got caught because he was pushing up, and he was trying to get back. I think he ended up on the line trying to stop it, but it was a tap in.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, Matt had done brilliantly down that wing. I thought he was without his tenacity. Without his tenacity at that point, that ball weren't reaching Martial, and he finished it off like a striker's supposed to. Stroked it into the back of the net. Decent finish for him. Easy finish for him. Couple of minutes later, Payet, Andy Carroll gets fouled, taken to the ground, and Payet takes a free kick, which went just wide, which really had me out of my seat on the day, because once he gets on the ball on the free kick scenario and the goal's anywhere near it, you get excited, don't you? But anyway, that weren't to be. But a few minutes after that, after the Martial goal, Bilic and Van Gaal started getting a bit heated with each other. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
When Bilic grabbed him at the back of the head, and of course they did, but it was a little bit of handbags at dawn for a bit there, and that was actually quite funny, I felt, because the way Bilic dealt with it at the end there, where he puts his hand around the back of Van Gaal's head and sort of pulls his hair a tiny little bit. I thought that was quite funny. So it gets to where are we? I've got quite a few points here, but none of this lot really need chatting about. Anyway, but what do you reckon? Come on, somebody else help me out here. Look, we've got. Hang on, where was it now? 71 minutes, was it?
What, the second goal?
Yeah.
It
was around 71 minutes.
I've got it on just in front of me, actually.
Yeah.
The goal.
Rooney stretches to get the ball, to win the ball,
It's just sort of playing through. Carroll misplaces, knows.
I think Noble loses the ball, didn't he?
Noble loses the ball. I'm not too sure if it's Rashford plays in Martial on their left, our right, and he absolutely leaves Winston Reid for dead. Just Winston Reid couldn't do nothing about it. He couldn't get near him. And again, he nice finish. I think that, in all honesty, I think Randolph should have done better with it.
Absolutely.
I think he made a bit of a meal of it. In fairness, but
yeah.
Now you're watching it,
and to be fair,
I'm not sure.
If Reid had been slightly tighter to Rashford, sorry, no, not Rashford, Martial. If he'd have been slightly tighter to him, maybe he wouldn't have got himself into scoring position. But you can't, you know what I mean? You can't blame.
If you look at it, that was where, again, because when Noble lost the ball, Antonio was pushing up in the right wing and he got caught. So Martial then, I think Rooney fed in Martial, and now he's up against Reid, and Reid hasn't got the pace. All he had to do is knock it past him, and he's that quick. But I do believe, Robert, if you were watching the goal, when Martial, I think he miskicked it, and I
don't know, but Randolph left an awful lot of room between him and
Randolph
near
thought
post.
he was crossing. Yeah, he tried to cut out the cross, and Randolph, to me, it's a mistake. He made a massive gap for him, but I don't believe he actually tried to hit that gap. I think I've watched it a few times since, and I do think he miskicked it, and it went right between that gap between the post and Randolph. But there you go. But Randolph is at fault for me. He shouldn't be
agreed
jumping into it.
Agreed, yeah. And a couple of minutes later, after all the the official replacing and everything of the ball ready to kick off again, the camera sweeps out to the crowd and they're all doing the conga up the steps. Do you remember seeing that? They're flipping doing the conga up the steps at Upton Park. And you know what, that for me just epitomises West Ham fans. Okay, we're under the cosh a bit, but hey, let's have a party. That was brilliant.
Yeah, I think it was just our way of dealing with it. Like I say, it was a really emotional time, and then obviously going 2-1 down, like you say, and I was in the pub and I grabbed hold of my mum and the other guy I was there with, Paul.
Yeah.
And I turned around and said, it's just typical. I said it was going to happen. Come back and bite us in the arse. Look what's happened. And we didn't know what was to come, and we didn't have to wait long, did we? After they went 2-1 up, I mean, what was it? 4 minutes for our second and the equaliser. Yeah. But I have to say, I was feeling a bit, here we go again kind of thing. But the header from Antonio, I've watched it so many times.
Yeah.
It literally is that flying salmon, isn't it? It's the way he's diving to get the ball.
It was a rising salmon, definitely.
He wanted the ball.
Written down here. Right there.
He wanted to be the one to get on the end of that, and once he did, and he made a really good connection with it. And to be honest with you, it's a very difficult header to take. Like you say, he's at full stretch, salmon-like, arms at his side. He's got no real control over where that ball goes. It's just a case of, I'm going to get my head on the end of it.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, once he did get his head on the end of it, it was only one place it was going. It could have gone anywhere. Let's not piss around. It could have gone, 4 foot over. It could have, to be honest with you, if he doesn't get that right, it can be a flick on and it goes behind him. I mean, let's not lie. But he gets the top of his head onto that ball to put it in the back of the net, and all of a sudden, we're there again, screaming our lungs up in the pub. Again, so I don't know what you guys were like in the stadium. All I know is what I've seen on the telly and stuff and on YouTube. But it was just absolutely batshit crazy that we were, like I say, 4 minutes ago, I was thinking, oh, crap, here we go, kind of thing. This is it. Yeah. And he goes and gets that. And you've gone from kind of a disappointment of conceding the second to the absolute euphoria of getting that goal.
Yeah.
And keeper, the way it came off his head, the power, no keeper was ever saving that.
Nah,
None.
I mean, that was arrow straight as well. There was no loop to it, nothing.
Yeah, it should also be noted though that it was Payet that unlocked the door. Beautiful,
Absolutely.
beautiful ball.
Yes.
He plays it in on his right foot, just sort of like little bit of loft to it, just enough. And like you say, Duke, he rose like a salmon. It was an unorthodox execution of the header, if you want to sort of like go by the textbook, but it ended up in the back of the net. So quite frankly, who cares?
Yeah,
And the place the place went mental. The place went mental.
Yeah.
I think, and it was actually a free kick from Payet in the first place.
Yeah, which came off
It hit the wall.
defender.
He's then recycled it and played the ball in.
Yeah.
The
And
place
our
went
right
crazy, and I
back.
think, yeah. I think that we changed formation by that stage. He did start as our fullback, but I think as the game went on and we were 2-1 down, I think Bilic pushed him a little bit further forwards and played him more as a wing back, if I remember correctly. But the place went mental, and I think if that had finished 2-2, I think we'd have been quite happy with that in a strange sort of sense. But I remember the ball hitting the back of the net, and even then I just thought this game ain't over.
Yeah,
There's still something else left, and whether it goes for or against us, there's still a little bit more left here. And I didn't obviously know who was going to get it, but
you say that, Gates, I've got goosebumps. I've got goosebumps. Just imagine, just knowing what comes next. Even Budgie, when you said about doing this, and we were going to do this show, and this will be the first one. I've got goosebumps to go back and talk about it. Obviously, the four of us here hadn't even considered what we do now, as like with the YouTube stuff.
Yeah.
We'd never even considered that weren't even on the table at the point of time that this game took place. So to be able to go back and talk about the memories and this game gave me goosebumps then, and knowing what we're about to talk about and knowing what's coming next, it's an amazing.
It's
just amazing.
And it was only 5 minutes later. Just previously, Valencia had taken Creswell down, bearing in mind that Valencia was already on a yellow card. So, a lot of people would have been baying for a red. I'll know that much.
Yeah.
Creswell kind of took it in his stride, I felt. I mean, it was a bit of a cynical challenge, and Creswell could very easily have reacted to it. He didn't. Fair play.
Well, the emotion of the occasion, Budgie, he could have quite easily jumped up and been, there. And you wouldn't have blamed him. Let's not mess around.
No. But Creswell, the consummate professional that he is, he dealt with it professionally, and you got to admire that. But that sets it up for the free kick. So out on the left-hand side, Dimitri Payet sets the ball down. Everybody's in anticipation. What's he going to do with the ball? Is he going to go for goal? He's too far out for that. Is he going to put it into the box? Is he going to go short to somebody? For me personally, I kind of foresaw the ball going into the box kind of thing. It was the obvious choice. But he picks it into the box, and Reed gets on it. Winston Reed, of all players, gets onto the end of the ball. And, in the commentary, or in one of the commentaries for the game, I think it's Peter Drury, who says he rose so high, he nearly touched the sky. He was feet on the ground when he hit the ball. But it was the last man to get a touch on the ball. So I understand what he meant. It was incredible. And to watch what happened once that ball hit the back of the net, because De Gea got his hand to it, and it went up over his hand and dropped into the back of the net. And once that happened, the crowd went absolutely ballistic. I mean, from the video footage I've seen, guys next to each other were hugging, or they were shaking each other, or they were showing emotion one way or another. There weren't a body in that stadium that weren't showing emotion. 3-2. Come on, tell me about it.
Go on, Cieran.
Yeah, sorry, mate. Yeah, go on, Cieran. How was you feeling when that happened?
I was amazed because De Gea I really rate as one of the best keepers in the Premier League, and I thought he'd saved it. He got a hand to it. I thought that's it. He's pushing it round the post. Just in that split second, he saved it, and he didn't. And he might feel disappointed that he didn't save it, but it came in that quick. It was such a cracking delivery by Payet, and the flick on, the way Reed flicked it off his head, kept the pace on the ball. So for him to get a hand to it, he done well, and it just couldn't keep it out, and it was just an emotional roller coaster. You know, boys, and probably everyone's said it many times since, that if you can write a script for me, it was an emotional thing because I grew up in Upton Park. I grew up there all my life, going to see West Ham from the age of 11. To let it end with a goal like that, and actually, Man United especially, there was a team I always wanted to beat more than anyone, more than Tottenham, more than Millwall. I always liked beating Man United. That was to me was what I grew up with. They were the ones that was it was so much more precious to beat them, and for them to be the last game at Upton Park and to get a goal like that from being 2-1 down, it was tears. It was just a tearful moment, and just hope. I think it was 10 minutes to go then, and I was just praying we could hang on. That'll do me. That'll do me. Bring on Tompkins. Bring on Tompkins.
And we all know what happens with United, in the final throes of a game, Fergie time and all that. We were always concerned that was going to happen.
One other thing that should also be noted, just one other thing to throw into the pot again, for people that are going to watch this later and maybe don't appreciate all of the facets that that were surrounding this particular occasion. This shouldn't have been our last home game. Our last home game was supposed to be Swansea, which we actually played. This game took place on the Tuesday, if I remember correctly. We played the game against Swansea on the Saturday a couple of days earlier, and we got hammered 4-1. And that's the game that should have been our last home game. Because there was cup fixtures and various other things that just got in the way. The game got rescheduled for the Man United game as our last home game. So in a parallel universe, this wouldn't have happened. We wouldn't have had our last game against Manchester United. It was just funny how it turned out.
We would never be talking about the last game.
It's just funny how the stars aligned and made it so that our last game was against. Let's be honest, and I don't. I'm not a Man United fan, but they are the biggest name in English football. They're arguably the biggest name in world football.
To quote Tim, every time you beat Man United, you're making more people sad, and it's a fact because they are one of the biggest supported teams in the world. So that's why I like to beat Man United, and for that to be the last game instead of Swansea, for me was a dream. I went, yep.
Especially because we got stuffed by Swansea. That would have been an absolutely crap ending to it, wouldn't it? What was your last game at Upton Park like? Well, we got beaten by a load of Welshmen.
Swansea. Yeah, I know, Swansea of all people.
By a load of sheep farmers. Yeah, that would have been funny. And no disrespect to the Welsh, by the way.
Just to touch on what Cieran said there about the goal. There's a video. There's video footage. I think it might be from the replay of the goal, and it's kind of from the left-hand side of the pitch, kind of not quite behind the goal, but it kind of shows the actual net and De Gea and everything else.
Yeah.
And it shows De Gea getting a hand to it, and like you say, it rolled up and over his hand, kind of thing. Sorry, but it shows you the power that was in that header.
Yeah,
and how much how he got behind that, because obviously he gets a hand to it. De Gea as a shot stopper is a very, very good goalkeeper.
Yeah.
And he got a bloody good hand to that. And like you say, it kind of hit and rolled over. But what I watched on the replay was I didn't watch. Well, I watched the first few times I watched the ball going. After that, I watched the fans in what was in the stand, the lower tier of the stand, on the far side of the stadium from where the camera was, and you just watched the people are like. And then they kind of go through the stages of oh no, oh yes, and then their arms go up and everyone's on like you say, and it's brilliant to watch. But for me, the highlight of that goal wasn't the goal itself. It wasn't the header. It wasn't the save. It wasn't the fans. The highlight for me of that goal was the celebration, and the reason it was the celebration is I've got the picture here on me laptop down at the side here. And Winston Reid goes up and he gives it the old big air punch. But as he lands, he kind of lands and sidesteps as he comes down. And Checo Coyote kind of comes running in from behind them, expecting to jump. And as he jumps, he's expecting, you can see it, he's expecting to land on Winston Reid's shoulders like this and do the old rap. Well, no, because as Winston Reid lands, he sidesteps. And Coyote just Superman falls onto the floor, thump. And for me, I've watched it back so many times, I pissed myself laughing because you can see exactly what, in the build-up to him jumping, you can see exactly what's going to go through his mind. He's planning it. Reid's going to land, I'm going to jump, and we're going to end up being piggybacked and celebrating. No, Reid's like, screw that, I'm going to move. Watch him end up like an absolute tit on the floor. And he lands on the floor, but the brilliant bit is, he's up and he's got that infectious smile still on his face. He realises he's out. He looks like an absolute pillar, but he's up, big grin on his face. You know, cut to the dugout, and you can see Dixie and Bilic going absolutely, you know, mental over it. Like the rest of us, you know, these are two boys that played for the club. You know, they know what that badge means, and know what this means for the fans that are in the stadium and in the pubs surrounding the ground. And it was just great. It was the pub went mental. I got covered in beer. I grabbed the Paul, the guy I went up with, Postman. I grabbed him and I'm throwing him around like I'm literally absolutely buzzing. And you know, but there's part of me still here that remembers that. You know what? Enjoy this. Just enjoy it now. You've still got 10 minutes yet, and we've already seen what they did in like 4 minutes ago. They scored again, so it ain't over yet. Don't count your chickens. I mean, yeah, like Budgie said with Fergie time, or Jason said with Fergie time, and everything else that we know historically that still could have been the case. But yeah, I mean, when that goal went in, it was just an eruption of feelings. I have to say,
pandemonium in the stands is what I've
about the game. When you mentioned Kuati doing his swan dive, but after watching that game again, I watched it about a week and a half ago. What I did realize, Kuati to me was our man of the match. He was everywhere and anywhere.
I was going to come to that.
I'll throw mine up now. I think he was absolutely amazing.
Well, for me, it was between him and Dimitri Payet. For me, I thought both of them had an extremely good game. You know, Payet's crossing and everything was just incredible the whole game. And as you said, Coyote was just awesome, immense, absolutely immense.
He was immense in the game.
Yeah,
I just thought Payet didn't have one of his super duper games, even though he put in 2 balls, got you 2 goals. That's what he did, didn't he? Because he is world class.
Yeah,
he was world class at that time. He's an absolute legend of a player, absolutely brilliant player. And the 2 balls he put in, we got 2 goals out of it, you know, at crucial times. So yeah, I do recognise Payet, but over the whole game he weren't at his best. But Kuati was everywhere. He battled for everything and won everything. He was amazing.
I'd have given it to Mark Noble for dragging Juan Mata off of the pitch.
Get
off!
Yeah, I'd forgotten that was in that game. Do you know that? I'd actually forgotten about that bit. Yeah, that was
But, I
funny.
mean, I'm surprised. I'm surprised people haven't done it more often. Do you know what I mean? Because you could see what was going on. Like the referee had already told him, if you want to get treatment, sidelines now, and Nobes just went, you know what, fuck this, come here.
Thing is, the way
Well,
the world is nowadays, you'd probably get arrested for assault.
Yeah.
yeah, I suppose there is that, isn't it?
Oh, and just to comment on Gaza, yeah, her name was Mabel Arnold. I've seen your comment. Her name was Mabel Arnold. The
She
lady
was, yeah,
that
bless her.
no longer with
Maybe,
us.
yeah.
Oh, bless. Richard's in the house. I hadn't seen his name up until now. So hello, Richard. Hi. Happy Amaret. I've seen you in there a couple of times. Go on.
It was Herrera Sharkey, yes.
Yes, it was. Yes.
And isn't it funny though? We have still now, even when Noble's retired, but we still have 4 members of that team in our team. We still have 4. It would have been 5 with Noble.
Yeah.
And if Lingard joins, there's 5 players that was part of
That
that.
were on the pitch. Yeah. Yeah.
I've got 5.
At the final whistle, though.
You got, hang on, Robert.
It's 5.
You got 5.
Well, Randolph, Cresswell, Ogbonna,
Yeah,
Lanzini.
I thought Randall. I thought Randall
Antonio.
had left. I thought Randolph left yesterday.
No, he hasn't.
Not yet.
Sorry.
No.
Then you're right. Right, Robert.
And looking at the subs bench, yeah, they've all moved on. So yeah, it's 5.
Yeah.
I thought Randolph was already gone.
So at the end of the match, when the final whistle went, and obviously, we all know that the final score was 3-2. The crowd opens up with bubbles again. I have to say, from watching it as a viewer rather than as a participant, I've got to say, I've got to ask you a question. And you were there, Rob, so you can probably be the only one to answer this. Was that the most passionate rendition of Bubbles you've ever heard?
It was the most emotional.
Yeah.
Because you knew that this was it. This was it.
Yeah.
I mean, whether it was more, I mean, I can't comment. Would it have been more powerful than the 1980 FA Cup final? I can't comment. I wasn't there. 1976
Well,
Eintracht
we can
Frankfurt.
find out because that's the next game I'm going to cover.
But
there.
But the from my perspective, like I say, it just every time that song was belted out when the players came out at the start of the first half, at the start of the second half, after the game finished, the final whistle, it was certainly the most emotional. Whether it was the loudest, difficult to say. But it was certainly it was the one that had the most emotion behind it.
Yeah. I mean, it was enough to bring Bilic to tears, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, that was going to be my sign off on the game itself. Was seeing Bilic, on camera like this, holding his hands to his eyes. You could see, at full time, the embrace between him and Julian Dix, the heartfelt, and it was heartfelt emotion. It wasn't just a show for the camera or anything else. This was actually absolute love for the club, love for the fans, and you could see just how much it meant to the pair of them.
Yeah, and I felt that it was kind of in spite of the cameras rather than because of. I felt that they didn't even consider the cameras would be there. They were just reacting in an emotional and heartfelt way, and who can blame them? I mean, that was a massive result for us on the day. Like Peter Drury says, from 2-1 down to 3-2 up, it had to be. It just had to be in claret and blue. That was his line. That was his comment. And it kind of is true. It did have to be. We wouldn't really have been happy, and we wouldn't have settled for a bloody draw, really, would we? Let's be honest. Would we? Now, knowing now.
Yes, if we had to. In hindsight's a fantastic thing, and we're sitting here saying, you know what, to go out and win 3-2 final game at Upton Park against Man United was huge. It was quite clearly. But if you'd said to me off the back of losing, as Gacy said earlier, 4-1 to Swansea, was that? Yeah, no. That was the one that was meant to be the last game of the season.
Yes.
I would have taken a draw against United before kick-off and knowing what happened previous, etc., etc. I would have taken a draw when we got it back to 2-2. For the simple reason is we'd conceded two in 21 minutes. To be back at 2-2, final game, to have the last goal as well.
That was a cream, wasn't it? That was a cream.
Would have taken it, but the fact that we then go and get another final goal, if you will, and we actually take the 3 points and we actually send the old girl off, for me, in style. I know, there was a film made over there, wasn't it? And they blew the poor place up and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
And I haven't been back since. I've not set foot around the area, and I promise you now I won't, because there's no need for me to be there. No. I can't bring myself. I know, friend of the channel, Lucas, when he came over from the States, he went up there and he had a little nose around, and I just can't bring myself to it. I can't do it. Don't get me wrong.
I did want to ask you, Jukey, you and Robert, that last 10 minutes for you, Robert, in the ground, and you down the road in the Denmark goes up. How long did that 10 minutes last? Or were you quite confident that weren't an issue?
Hello, brother. I'll be round in
How can
about
I
20
answer
minutes.
this?
I'm just wrapping up this
It
show.
seemed to take an eternity.
Oh, okay, mate.
But at the same time, now I think it went like that. Do you know what I mean? It's one of those. In the moment, it seemed to take longer than the actual 10 minutes was. But now I sort of look back, it's like, Jesus, that went so quick. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah. No, Gacy, I know what you mean, because I was the same. I think I'd bitten my fingernails down to about here at that point. It's just literally chewing. But when you're losing, and you're losing an important game, be it the FA Cup final or not the FA Cup final, sorry, an FA Cup semi-final, or and you're sitting there and you're going, right, I've got 10 minutes. We've got 10 minutes. We can do this. We've got 10 minutes. It's all right. We can get back into the game. We've got 10 minutes. And all of a sudden, you're looking at the clock again. You're going, well, that's 92nd minute. But there doesn't seem like any time has gone between that when you first look and you last look. It felt very much the same as that. It felt like gone in an instant. And then the next thing you know, you're looking at fireworks and you're looking at, you're watching the telly and you're seeing them, because we stayed up there for that as well. You're seeing the players come on. And then they started showing the Bobby Moore thing where he's walking down the tunnel and he goes chunk with the lights. There were so many of us in the doorway of the pub watching both the telly and looking back in the direction of the stadium to watch the horizon go pitch black back as the lights went out, because you could see obviously the glow from the stadium. Yeah. And to see him flick that, and then to look outside and see the whole place just go into darkness, you kind of realise then that was that kind of thing. And I know people went back for the film, didn't they? They went back for the for certain scenes in the film with, was it Dave Bautista, wasn't it?
Yeah, called Final Score.
I've seen bits of it. I don't want to see any more than that.
I have actually watched it just out of morbid curiosity.
Any good?
The film is crap. In my opinion, he's not a great actor. But the story would never happen in the UK, not in a stadium of that ilk. It's not really believable,
Not at West Ham, because we would have done it. We would have dealt with that ourselves. Yeah, that's what you're saying, isn't it?
And you wouldn't ride a motorbike across all the girders up in the roof of the bloody stadium. You just couldn't do that.
I think
Well, like you say, it would have never happened in there. We would have dealt with it ourselves. The fans would have got in there and beaten the living shit out of the geezer that's now, trying to cause problems. West Ham fans would have gone, excuse me, pal, have that. Right, back to the game. Get on with it. Let's go.
Yeah,
I think just sort of going back to because I'm trying to sort of like make an answer that would make sense to people watching. You know, when I say about the last 10 minutes, I think it's one of those that it was very much a double-edged sword, because on the one hand, I want the referee to blow the final whistle because we're winning 3-2 against Manchester United. I want him to blow the final whistle. But then there's a part of me that doesn't want him to blow the final whistle. I want us to be 3-2 up against Manchester United forever.
Yeah, for the rest of our lives.
And we don't move from Upton Park. We just keep playing this game.
Because I never, ever, ever wanted to leave Upton Park, right? This is and I know I'm, 10,000 miles away, but I grew up in Upton Park, and I grew up, watching before I went to a game, all I saw was the floodlights from my back window, and that was my introduction to West Ham, listening to the roars from my house. And to me, to lose that in that night was fucking devastating. And I didn't care whether the new stadium was brilliant. And I'm sort of, no, don't move, please. I want it to be there until I die. Then fucking move if you want. But I didn't want to ever move from there. And that's a selfish thing, because I'm not there. I'm not a season ticket holder anymore, and I'm not going week in, week out. And I thought about it. I said, look, for the new generation, maybe it is a good thing we move. But I never wanted it. I never wanted to lose my childhood. I never wanted to lose it.
Yeah.
Thing is, I don't have a problem with the move in and of itself. If we'd have moved to a purpose-built football stadium, I'd have been like, you cannot stand in the way of progress. Okay,
no.
If we'd have moved to a purpose-built football stadium, this is my opinion, right? The moment that they announced in 2005 the Olympics will be in Stratford, they should have got together with West Ham's owners at the time, which I think that was Terry Brown's reign, if I remember rightly, 05. I'm sure that he was in harness at that point. Yeah. They should have gone to him and said, okay, right, there's an Olympic stadium being built a mile and a half up the road from you, right? But England, Britain is not an athletics country. They will get behind the Olympics, and we did in 2012, and we will go mad for the Olympics, and we'll support it in this and the other. But by default, we're not an athletics country. So if we have all this bollocks about an athletics legacy and all that, it will sit there for probably 51 weeks of the year. And you might use it for the odd bit here and there, but for actual athletics, it's not really going to get used. So I'll tell you what, let's do like what we did in the year 2000. It's the Sydney Olympics, which you'll know about, Cieran. Stadium Australia, or the Telstra Stadium, I think, as it latterly became, where England won the World Cup against Australia at the Olympic Stadium.
Absolutely. Wilkinson Stadium.
And we're playing today. The same two teams are playing as we speak. But anyway, that stadium was designed as a multi-purpose stadium. So if you had it in athletics mode, the stands would retract. There's your athletics track. You can do athletics, not a problem. And with a press of a button, the stands all come in. They're all on rollers. It's not scaffolding and all that bullshit that we've got. Press a button, the stands wind in, and you can use it for football. You can use it for rugby union. You can use it for rugby league. You can use it for T20 cricket. Whatever you want to use it for. Multi-purpose. No. We've got an athletic stadium.
That conversation did happen, but Sebastian Coe was the one who said no.
Yeah, I know. He's the one that was very much pushing for athletics legacy and all that. Well, it's been a complete joke for everyone. The situation is one that nobody's happy with. Nobody from the football side is happy. Nobody from the athletic side is happy. So it's completely pointless.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah, agreed. And that is a conversation for another day. Just going through some of the comments.
We're getting some feedback here.
Yeah, who from? Where from? It's not me, because I've got no other devices connected or anything.
Ain't me. I've only got one.
Well, it's one of you three because I was just on mute there.
Oh, mate, we're all echoing.
Hold on.
I can't hear an echo. It's just-
Is it happening now?
No, that
No?
stopped it.
It must have been me
That's
then.
good, man.
How the hell is it
That
me?
was Chooky. Chooky pressed the button, sorted it.
How about now? I'm back. We got reverb. What we got? Anything?
Who knows? Who knows?
Oh, it was in there.
Testing 1 2 1 2. Rubber duck.
Yeah, I agree.
Keep talking.
Coming back again.
Back again.
And that was me on mute. Okay, right. Anyway, listen, guys. We're going to have to start wrapping it up. Duke's got to get back to work. I'm sure you guys have got things to do. I know I have. I've got to take my car somewhere. But I want to thank you guys for coming in and chatting with us today. It's been brilliant talking about that game, that iconic game. And as James said earlier on, he said he's glad he didn't watch the game now in the build-up to today, because apparently us chatting about it have brought back the memories for him perfectly, he said. So that's really nice. I'm glad to provide that kind of service for you guys. Anyway, listen, I am going to wrap things up. It's been really...
Happy's teasing me. What's this? Make it clean, Happy. Can we just keep it clean for me, please? Yeah.
Yeah, for a change.
Yeah, let's. It will never be Upton Park happy, I agree. Well, no, it won't. Let's hope that one day people that remember Upton Park will look back and go, well, you know what? It was great there. We had a wonderful 100 years or more there. But look at what we're doing now, and look at how good this feels now at this stadium. Trust me, you know, we will grow to make it our home. We will. We have to. We've got no choice now. We can't go back. Thanks, Budgie. It was a lovely stream with some great-ish guests. Bless her. She's so sweet, isn't she? But I wouldn't melt. Okay, so...
She's coming, I'll tell you. She's coming.
I'm going to try and pop up and pay a visit to you at the end of next week, Duke. Try and get up to...
More than welcome, my man.
Yeah, I will give you a shout at least 24 hours in advance, let you know if I'm coming up. I want to thank everybody that took part today. Cieran, thank you so much again. Duke, thank you, sir. Thank you, Gatesy. It's been a pleasure chatting with you guys. As always, love chatting with you boys. Want to thank everybody that's in the chat for kicking this little series of programs off. Next one will be the 1980 FA Cup final. There is a link on the Matchday Rewind playlist in the channel, so check that out. Have a look at the game, remind yourself of that, or watch it for the first time if you're young enough.
Yeah,
we're gonna probably do that maybe next Saturday, but I'm thinking more towards the following Saturday, because next weekend I'm hoping to have the weekend off, so gonna come up to you, Duke, and get myself out and about a little bit. So, but thank you everyone for joining us. I'm going to try and play us out with a video if it works. We will see you the next time around. Take care. What are we, guys?
massive. Have it.
Come on, you irons. We will see you next time. Thanks for joining us on Matchday Rewind. Thank you, guys. Green Street Elites. By the fans, for the fans. Welcome to Matchday Rewind. Remember to like the stream, subscribe to Green Street Elite, hit the bell icon for future notifications, and share to your social media. Thank you for joining us, and please get involved in the live chat.